Welcome to today's Catch webinar. My name is Brooks Ballard and I'm with Catch Global Foundation. We're very excited to talk about ways to amplify and coordinate our health communications efforts and have some great panelists with us here today. Before I get started though, I just have a couple of housekeeping items to address. First, today's webinar is being recorded and an archive of the presentation and a PDF of the slides will be made available on the catchinfo.org website later this week. We'll also send out links via our social media channels. So if you're not already following Catch Global Foundation or the Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living, we recommend you take a minute to follow and like us on any and all social media channels you use. You can see the handles there on your screen. We're the @CatchHealth and @MSD Center for Twitter, and same handles for Facebook as well. We welcome your questions during today's webinar. So you can submit those at any time via the questions box on your GoToWebinar control panel. But to keep things moving, we're going to try and hold off on answering those until the Q&A portion at the end of the webinar. Like I mentioned before, we had over 270 registrants for today's webinar, so we expect to hear lots of good questions and comments from the audience. Also, if you have any technical issues, you can message us via the questions box as well, and we'll do our best to troubleshoot the issue. Of course, we hope you won't experience any difficulties today, but if you do, please note that the most common troubleshooting solution is simply to leave and rejoin the webinar. So next, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our hosts today. So the Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living is kind enough to host us for these regular Catch webinars. Based at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston School of Public Health in Austin, the Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living works with educators, community groups, policymakers, and all those who shape a child's world. Their research generates international attention, and they're seen as a leader in the public health community because they put that research into action. Their programs are changing lives and impacting communities from the middle of Texas to the heart of Uruguay. Their vision is healthy children and a healthy world. You can learn more about the Center for Healthy Living at msdcenter.org. Thank you so much to our hosts. Next, I want to tell you a little bit about Catch Global Foundation. For over 25 years, the Catch platform has been proven to launch kids and communities toward healthier lifestyles. Our community health programs aim to impact the messaging a child receives in physical education, the lunchroom, the classroom, and at home, to influence a child's choices not only in school, but lifelong. The Catch Global Foundation is a 501c3 public charity founded in 2014. The foundation links underserved schools and communities to the resources necessary to create and sustain healthy change for future generations. Our mission is to improve children's health worldwide by developing, disseminating, and sustaining the Catch platform in collaboration with researchers at UT Health. And next, I would like to introduce our fantastic panelists for today. So I'll start with Dr. Steve Kelder. He's co-director of the Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living, professor of epidemiology and associate regional dean at the University of Texas School of Public Health in Austin. Dr. Kelder has more than 25 years of experience in design and evaluation of child and adolescent research, particularly interventions directed toward youth, schools, and parents. Recently, his emphasis is on interventions designed for promotion of physical activity and healthy eating, obesity prevention, oral health, and e-cigarette prevention. Dr. Kelder is one of the lead investigators for Catch and a founder and board member of Catch Global Foundation. Today, Dr. Kelder is going to talk about the scientific basis and evidence behind health communications in school and childcare settings, and why it's important to coordinate our health messages across multiple communications channels. Welcome, Steve. Next, we have Jennifer Bartholomew. She's a pre-K and ESL teacher at Caldwell Heights Elementary School in the beautiful Round Rock, Texas, Independent School District. Jennifer has been a teacher now for 14 years, 10 of which have been in pre-K. She's a mom to 3 amazing kids. After having 2 cancer scares, though, one being with skin cancer, Jennifer's committed herself to living a healthier lifestyle and passing these healthy habits onto her family and to the kids she's blessed to teach. In her presentation today, Jennifer's going to tell us a bit about her recent experience with an interview for a local TV station on sun safety and the Sun Beatables program. And as a side note for a little background on that program, Ray and the Sun Beatables, a sun safety curriculum, was created and developed by the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center and is disseminated by Catch Global Foundation. This evidence-based curriculum educates children's parents and teachers about sun protection and promotes sun safety behaviors in an effort to reduce children's lifetime risk of developing skin cancer. As I mentioned, skin cancer prevention is very near to Jennifer's heart, and we're delighted to have her with us today, and more importantly, as an amazing sun safety champion. So welcome, Jennifer. And next we have Abby Rose, who's an early childhood program manager and a colleague of mine over at Catch Global Foundation. Abby's responsible for developing and disseminating Catch's early childhood nutrition education, physical activity, and sun safety programs. Previously, Abby was a school wellness specialist in the Office of Student Health and Wellness of Chicago Public Schools. Abby was the founding PE teacher and director of health and wellness at Namaste Charter School, a national model of school wellness as a vehicle for student success on the southwest side of Chicago. If you haven't picked up already on this, Abby lives in Chicago and enjoys dancing and staying active with her 2 young daughters. Abby's going to talk about digital platforms as a tool for coordinating health messages across a campus. Specifically, she's going to talk about the new digital Catch platform and the just released digital Sunbeatables platform. And for the latter, we'll actually get a chance to take a tour of the digital Sunbeatables platform to show you how it works firsthand as well. So welcome, Abby. And with that, I'm going to hand things over to our first presenter, Dr. Steve Kelder. So Dr. Kelder, I'll let you take it away from here.
Great, thanks, Brooks. Welcome, everyone. Happy afternoon. So my name's Steve Kelder. I'm going to set the stage, I think, for Jennifer and Abby, and talk a little bit about why from an evidence perspective, from a theoretical perspective, that the things that they are doing should work. So anyway, let me just jump right in. So what you're seeing now are 2 different models for child health behavior. One of them might be very familiar to some of you. That one on the right comes from the Centers for Disease Control, and is their new-ish. It's been around for about 4 or 5 years, and new-ish coordinated school health model. And as you can see, there's a number of different elements in this model that revolve in the blue circle, from health education, physical education, nutrition, health services, counseling, social and emotional, physical environment, employee wellness, family engagement, community involvement. So when we think about the multiple components that are in a school, we can think about communication strategies within a school, and certainly that's a very important thing to do. But because there are community partners, and because kids live within communities and their families live within communities, and oftentimes the school is the hub for a wide variety of community interactions, with parents meeting other parents or whatnot, and then finding support from local businesses. It makes sense. It's not just theoretical, but it makes total sense to try and expand that reach if you want to provide an environment that is pretty much using the same words and saying the same thing. That's the bottom line with communication strategies. Is simpler is a little bit better, repetition is better, and then finding the right message for your different target audiences. The model on the left is one that we created about 8 or 9 years ago at the Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living. And it's a social ecological model where we're just trying to see the variety of different levers that one might be able to pull to try and improve child health. So up at the top, there are more distal factors like food production, governmental, school, and other policies, and economic influencers. And many times we feel like we don't have a whole lot of control over those things, or it's more challenging to influence policies, and certainly the GDP of the United States with economic influences. A little bit closer is food and physical environments, community policies and practices, media, advertising, and promotions, as well as cultural factors. And there we have a chance, at least at the local level, at the community level, at the school level, to influence and try and improve behaviors. Again, this is why we're interested in reinforcing healthy messages and coming up with similar messages, and ones that, if a child hears it from school in various components, from the PE teacher to the after-school teacher, the classroom teacher, or messages on the wall of the school, or homeroom announcements, as well as hearing similar messages reinforcing at home or outside in the larger community, then you have a chance of influencing things at this intermediate or middle ring. And then inside are behavioral factors, personal factors, family and peer factors. And those are the things that are very close, that have a very proximal, what we call proximal influence on kids and family behavior. And then, of course, underneath is biologic and genetic factors that one completely has to take into account, just as important as some of the cultural factors we think about as we're crafting messages and determining what priority we should put in our programs. So that's a really short and condensed overview of some of the theoretical elements, or elements that have been proven to work, or if you want to call them evidence-based, appear to have an influence on kids or families in schools. So let me move on a little bit and say, what exactly is health communication? And one definition by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is the study and use of communication strategies to inform and influence individual decisions that enhance health. So basically, we're trying to inform and influence health behaviors, because those behaviors are the ones that can lead to enhancing health. And what we have to do is decide what messages are we going to communicate, and then how are we going to get those messages outside the school walls to the families, to the community leaders, businesses, social and other organizations that work with kids, youth, religious and otherwise. So let's just talk a little bit about what those messages might be and how we do it in Catch. So here's some classic channels for Catch message delivery. And I never would have thought back in 1987, so when I started working with Catch, I'd still be talking about it. We've grown and we've tried a large number of different ways to communicate to kids and their families. But so here's some of the classical or traditional methods. So at the top left, you see a bulletin board. So we want to see a bulletin board in every Catch school, or even a bulletin board in each hallway divided by, kindergarten, first and second, and then third through fifth, and whatnot. And here's one of our happy Catch champions who is helping prepare these materials. What it does is people glance at it. Newcomers come to the school and they look at it and read it. Another one in the middle is what's on your tray, go, slow, and whoa. It's one of the clearest messages in Catch, I think, is that we want to divide foods into different categories based on solid nutritional evidence and practice as to what's healthier and less healthy, and turn those into go, slow, and whoa messages. Top right, we see a teacher talking directly to kids. We encourage classroom curriculum. At the bottom left, we're seeing a family fitness day, and we have a family with kids of different ages. We want to communicate to parents and do that in a tangible way. So we create events that happen at school. And we also have homework assignments that are designed for the kids to go and interact with the parents as they fill out a sheet and getting the opinions of parents about what they think about healthy foods. What's your favorite vegetable, mom or dad? As an example. In the middle, there's another bulletin board example. And then on the right, all the way to the right, we see a kitchen magnet, the good old kitchen magnet, something that can stay there for a while and can provide a little bit of guidance. And also, when people come over, they say, well, what is this go, slow, and well? It gives a chance for mom and dad or the kids or family members to say, well, we learned about this at school and here's what it is. So those are what might be considered traditional or classical methods to expand your reach outside of the school. A few new channels for health messages. And this is with the last 5 years or so, or as this Catch program has matured and grown up a little bit and gathered in some different approaches, newer ones. On the left-hand side, you'll see an infographic, which is well, probably impossible if you read now. But if you go to the Catch website, you can get this in a larger size and print it off and hang it on the walls in the school, or email it to your parents or community leaders. And what we found is that kids in particular really like infographics because it catches your eye, and it's different than just words on paper because of the illustrations, and because in this case there's a little path to go up and down, or down from the top to the bottom, and just sort of peruse and read it and figure it out. So finding better ways to hook readers into it. Same way with the or I'm sorry, in the next panel, you'll see a tweet that got put out. That was a tweet, right, Brooks? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it looked a little too long for a tweet. So it's a fake Facebook post, which is informing about different things which are happening. In this case, there's a chance to win a $50 gift card if you do get involved in some spring cleaning with the hashtag Catch Challenge. That could work across different social media platforms. And then adding a picture into that makes it make the reader want to either go to those websites or to look at the rest of the message up on the top that's printed. So catchy colors, pictures of what you're trying to do, and using a similar framework. Here, next to that is tweet activity. which is trying to do basically the same thing. So anyway, we encourage the development of Facebook pages and Twitter accounts and Instagram accounts. And for those of you, or many of you, may have already created a LinkedIn page. So many times I'll cut these things that these two organizations, the Dell Center and the Catch Global Foundation, and I'll put it in my LinkedIn page because I've tried really hard to link together with superintendents and health advocates and teachers and things like that. And I certainly want to let them know and have new tools and resources or opportunities to get money in. I mean, $50, there's a dinner out. So anyway, these are new channels for health messages. It requires someone at the front end to create the graphic work, to develop the messaging, and then it also requires some work on the back end to circulate and disseminate it. So amplify and coordinate. If we look on the left, we're seeing some commercial announcements, let's say, or advertisements or marketing tools to promote a certain perspective that's in the private sector. They're for sale. Many have heard of the paleo diet, the liquid diet, the Atkins diet. The chocolate diet is one that I'm new to. I haven't tried that one. Versus our messaging of go slow and whoa. So, clearly differentiated in that the world is filled with different diets. And my wife, Dan Helsch, has been working with Catch for a long time too. And she tries very hard to read about all the different diets. And one of her messages consistently is that all diets work and all diets fail. Because, I mean, if all you do is eat chocolate, you'll probably lose weight because you'll get sick of chocolate and eat less of it. Same with as you're replacing certain foods. So diets can help you achieve a goal in the short term, but it makes it challenging to keep it that way for the long term. Whereas go slow and whoa, we're trying to inform kids about what are healthier foods so that they can make decisions every day rather than use a restrictive approach like many diets. And it's simpler to understand, go slow and whoa. So another way to amplify and coordinate with this one set of messages, go slow and whoa, is we have activities and bulletin boards. There's the magnet again. There's ways to amplify it with news stories on the top hand right side, and with Twitter, etc., social media. So we tried a variety of different ways to illustrate what go slow and whoa means, and to get that into the common language of people at schools and in other places. And I will say, since we've been doing this for over 20 years, go slow and whoa has become a very popular phrase. It's commonly associated with Catch and with healthy eating. So once you get to the point where, in this case, a color system that everybody knows, green, yellow, and red, makes it easy to remember once you get the concept down. So I'm going to finish up here a little bit and just say that, if you think about it, the effective message reinforcement, there's a variety of theoretical components or constructs, if you will, that there's just tons of evidence about, hundreds and thousands of papers and different ones on. And so I selected a few that comes out of a social cognitive theory, which is a perspective that produced by Albert Bandura at Stanford a long time ago. He's still doing it too. Normative beliefs, self-efficacy, your confidence in being able to complete a certain behavior. Outcome expectations are what you could expect if you do the behavior, either for a first time or a repetitive time. What knowledge is necessary to understand how to do the behavior? How do you create intentions? How do you motivate people to intend to try and make a change in their diet or increase their physical activity? And all of that is broken down into behavioral skills, and that leads to behavior. So this sounds sort of complicated, but a key component of this is finding the messages that are related to these constructs, these 6 different constructs, and then to amplify them once you've refined them and determined that they actually work. So this you probably can't read at all. In fact, I make my students read it, and sometimes they get mad at me because there's just too much to read. So I give you the citation. This is a book chapter that we wrote in a recently published fifth edition of a textbook that's used in graduate school for how do you design intervention campaigns. And I only put this here so that, you know, if you wanted to learn a little bit more about social cognitive theory and how we go about building programs like Catch, Sunbeatables, and others, that you could have a general understanding of it. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Jennifer and Abby, who are going to tell you about how they do their practice in the field. So thank you very much. If you have questions, we'll answer them later.
Thank you, Dr. Kelder. And we are going to hand it over here to Jennifer, who's going to show us a little bit about how kind of applying a little bit of the theoretical constructs that Dr. Kelder was talking about, and ways that when we make a concerted effort, we can amplify our messages and get those out beyond the school walls, in this example, using kind of a traditional media approach. And Jennifer is going to tell us a little bit about her experience with a recent news story that she did, participated in with the Fox station in the Austin area. So Jennifer, we'll let you take it away from here, and just let me know when to advance the slides.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. And like you said, my name is Jennifer Bartholomew, and you guys are about to see the experience that my class had, sharing about the Sunbeatables and showing what the Sunbeatables curriculum is. So go ahead and advance to the next slide, please. So the biggest thing was preparing for it. The kids that I teach are 4 to 5 years old, so they're not quite used to being in front of the camera. So the first thing that I needed to make sure was to email my principal and my pre-K director to let them know what was going on, and obviously to get permission from my principal to be able to do this on our campus. We also needed to make sure that we contacted our district media and communications department, and that they were kept in the loop. And they actually ended up sending somebody out the day of the recording, and just to be there as a part of it. And also just to see if there was any extra permissions that we needed to have. One of the things that our district does, I'm not sure if every district does it, we have permissions that we send out at the very beginning of the year for things like, can they use the internet? Are they allowed to have their picture taken to be shared online, in the yearbook, in videos? That was the first place that we looked for permission for the kids who would be able to be involved. So we ended up actually having one student that was not allowed to actually have his picture taken, but he was still able to participate. And we planned ahead on what we were going to do anytime we thought there might be pictures taken, or if we were playing a game, what to do with this one student. And then emails were sent out to all the parents about the interview, and we just asked and verified that they were still okay with their permission to have their child's photo taken and to be videoed, and that they were okay with their child participating in this. The biggest point that I would say for preparing for the interview would be making sure that the students knew the content, which luckily we had already started doing the Sunbeatables curriculum, and we were about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks into it when Fox 7 came to video the kids, and just making sure that they felt confident with it. We also talked about how there would be a camera in the room and that people would be there to watch us do Sunbeatables. We also did things like practice having them hold a pretend microphone and talk into the microphone, which ended up not being necessary because it was a little clip-on microphone that just clipped onto their shirt. So, but you never know what that's going to be like ahead of time. So we just kind of had them get used to pretending to be videoed and talking into the microphone. And then I always, whenever I know there's going to be visitors coming, I always phrase it this way to kind of take the nerves off. I just tell the kids, you know, they're coming to see what wonderful experts you are in Sunbeatables or whatever the curriculum we're doing at the time is. And I just tell them this is your chance to show them what you know and how you're an expert on sun safety. And phrasing it that way seems to always help the kids feel a little less nervous about talking to somebody. And then for the week of and the day before, I sent reminders about the interview to parents So that way they were prepared, their students were prepared, and if there were any other questions that might have come up, parents had a chance to ask those questions. So I think that the biggest thing to help with the kids is just, like I said, stopping those nerves before they start, and just helping them feel confident that they're already experts in this, and all they're going to be doing is showing.
Jennifer, our audio cut down. Can you keep talking? We may have a little audio issue here.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. Okay, we got you back. Sorry.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, can you go to the next slide? So then the big day came. The kids were very excited and ready to have the camera in the room. I say the biggest thing in making sure that it ran smoothly was having a classroom management system already in place so that the kids know what the expectations for their behavior are. We have our structures and expectations in place from the beginning of the year, and this happened in May, so it went very smoothly. The kids knew exactly what was expected of them, and even with a camera in their face, they still were behaving wonderfully and doing what they were supposed to. And then making sure to keep the kids engaged with an engaging curriculum, which Sunbeatables does not have a problem with that. Kids love superheroes, and they are very engaged whenever we're doing our Sunbeatables curriculum, and it just kept it running very smoothly, and they weren't really distracted by all the people and the cameraman. And it also helps that the activities we were doing were a lot of fun. And then I tried to incorporate as much movement as possible. 4 and 5 year olds can only sit for about 10 minutes before you start losing them. So we would do a brief activity and then do some sort of a movement with songs or just doing something to get the wiggles out. We actually got to go outside and hunt for our shade superpower. So just every 10 minutes or so, having a brief moment of movement with a song. And the Sunbeatables has great songs for that. So then when they were actually interviewing the kids, we had activities planned for them to do related to Sunbeatables. And so while their friends were being interviewed, they were working at their tables. They were drawing being sun safe, what they'd like to do at the beach. They were writing about it. And so that helped to keep any distractions at bay and the kids focused on what they were supposed to be doing and not what was happening with their friend being interviewed. I was limited on who could be interviewed, mostly because the majority of the kids in my class do not speak English as their first language. And then the ones who did, some of them were extremely shy. So they were fine in the whole group, but individually, not really. So that's something to keep in mind when you're planning an interview like this or a video. The kids loved showing what they knew about Sunbeatables. That's where the telling them they're experts comes in really handy. So they were having fun showing what they knew, and they thought they were really cool that they were going to be on TV, and they were excited to show off in a good way. They weren't being silly or acting up. They really wanted this chance to show these people what they had learned about being sun safe. And I had parents telling me all the time about, my kid comes home and tells me I'm not being sun safe. We need to have our sun safe powers on. And so the kids really, really bought into this and had a lot of fun being able to share it with other people. And they would tell anybody that came in the room, all of the visitors, oh, this is what it means to be sun safe. So that was a really pleasant surprise on my part, how excited they were that they were getting a chance to share what they knew. And they, after the TV crew left, they kept asking me, is it going to be on tonight? When is it going to be on? Is it going to be on tomorrow? When do we get to see ourselves on TV? And so they just thought it was absolutely awesome that they were going to get to be on TV and showing off all the stuff that they had learned. Next slide. So during the interview, you can see some of these pictures. We were doing some songs, and then we went outside and did a shade superpower hunt, and they had to go outside and find shade outside that would be safe to play in. And we also did a little skit about Ray and the Sunbeatables on the beach. And so these were just some of the different things that were happening while they were rolling film. And luckily, the sun came out just as we came outside to do our shade superpower. It had not been cooperating the previous week. And so when we walked outside, it was behind a cloud, and it came out just as they were rolling film. And they got some really great pictures of the kids running around finding shade that was okay to play in if they had to be outside when the sun is, when it's not safe to be outside with the sun. So, and you can see some of the kids being interviewed, and one of the things I love that with the cameraman just taking pictures of them sitting on the circle, they're still pretty much focused on what we're doing. And so it was so much fun that day. Next slide. And then we found out our story aired on Memorial Day, and I sent out an email to all the parents to get them ready to watch the show. And it's a 2-hour show, and so we had no idea when in the show it was going to come on. And I know I was up at 6 o'clock on Memorial Day weekend watching for it, and it didn't come on until the second hour. And I had lots of parents tell me I was up at 6 watching it all. And so it was very exciting for our class to be able to be a part of this. Next slide. And we had so many positive responses from this. I didn't know what to expect from the parents. They were very excited for their kids to be a part of it. And then some of the kids didn't get to be on TV, or, they weren't shown as much as others. And so I didn't know how parents were going to react. And the parents were so proud of their kids, and they didn't mind if they weren't interviewed one-on-one. Every parent caught a glimpse of their kid, and they were just proud to have seen their child sharing what they knew and participating. And it kind of gave them a glimpse into what goes on in the classroom. And I did have one parent, her child was not interviewed, but she said, I counted there, she was on there 4 times. I saw her 4 times. And another couldn't record it with her DVR, so she recorded it with her phone. And they had families watching, and it was just a very exciting time for the parents. And they were very excited for their kids to have this experience. It's not something that you get to experience every day. And a lot of the kids that I teach are low-income kids who may not get exposure to opportunities like this. So it was wonderful to be able to provide this for the parents and for the kids. And like I said, their kids have been sharing all that they had learned about sun safety, and the parents appreciated being able to learn more about it by watching what the kids were doing instead of just reading the letters that I sent home or the updates that I sent. And it was fun for them to see their kids in action. And my principal was extremely proud to have our school and our pre-K program represented in such a positive light. And she shared the link with others. The link was retweeted. Same as our pre-K director, she retweeted it on our Round Rock ISD pre-K Twitter account. At a faculty meeting, a funny thing that my principal said, she shared to all the staff about us being on the news, and she said that she learned so much about skin cancer just by watching the segment on sunbeatables, and she was like, who knew from a pre-K classroom that I would learn so much about being sun safe. So that was kind of fun to hear her reaction about that. Next slide. So I was more nervous than the kids, I think. It was nothing like what I expected it to be. It was a lot more fun than I had expected. My students love this curriculum, so doing it in front of others was just fun for them. And we had been learning about it, like I said, for almost 2 weeks, so that was a huge help. And I thought a lot more people would be in the room. I didn't know what to expect about that. And it ended up just being one reporter, a cameraman, a person from Catch, and also a person from the district. And I think that helped that there weren't so many visitors, but I just didn't know what to expect. And so when I saw that there were so few people, it kind of eased my nerves a little bit. I way overplanned the activities. We didn't even get to all of them. And then I forgot about a couple of the things that I wanted to share and I wanted to say. So, like I said, I was a lot more nervous about this than the kids. And some tips that I would have if you're going to be sharing something like this in your classroom, make sure to notify the parents ahead of time. Make sure that they understand what will be happening in the classroom. Answer any questions that they might have to kind of ease any nerves they might have. Be prepared for a lot of questions from them, and then answer them as best as possible. There were some I didn't have the answer to, and I just said, I will try and find out, and I will let you know as soon as I know the answer. Prep the students beforehand, build up their confidence, show them, you know this, you're experts in this, you don't need to be nervous, you're just showing what you know, and that will really go a long way with the kids. It makes it less stressful for them. Give yourself time to teach the content. We happen to have started it beforehand, so I wasn't rushing to teach them about sunbeatables. They already knew about it. So if you know it far enough in advance, go ahead and give yourself time to prep for that. Make sure you're teaching it with the kids so that way they've had exposure to it beforehand. Review your expectations with the students for when visitors are in the room. I made sure to do that before everybody showed up and just already have those in place and established. So then you're just reminding them things like, remember, we stay in our spot. It's going to be exciting to have visitors in the classroom, but they're here to see what you know. So we need to make sure we're staying focused and on task, and just remind them of those expectations. And then remind students and parents the week before, and then if possible, the day before the interview, just saying, hey, heads up, we've got our interview tomorrow. I had kids come dressed in suits who never usually wear suits. So the parents were appreciative to have that reminder, and they went the extra mile to make sure that their kids looked nice and they were there. And so that was a huge help. Plan, but don't overplan. Pick activities from the lesson that will keep the students engaged and on task, but you don't need to do everything that's in the lesson. They're only there for a short amount of time in our program. And so I tried to plan activities that would incorporate our writing, our science, our math, all the while doing the sunbeatables while I was doing that. And it was really easy to just pick the activities that would fit into that. And then we did the rest of the lesson the rest of the week. Check with your district communications department about any restrictions or permissions you might need. And most of all, have fun. Once I let go of the stress and just had fun with it, it made it such an enjoyable experience. And the kids will have fun with you if you're having fun with it. And it comes across on the screen too. If you're stressed, they're going to see that. If you're just having fun and the kids are having fun, everybody's going to see that. And it just makes it a more pleasant experience for everybody involved. Okay. And that's all that I have.
That is great. Thank you so much. And it looks like I have an older version of the slides here, so I'm sorry I didn't have your bullet points in here with your summaries, but we'll have that for sure in the PDF that we send out. We're going to transition now over to Abby, and if everyone can bear with us while we hand over the presentation to her, she's going to talk about coordinating a message across a campus. So that was a great example from Jennifer about how we're able to engage and get the message out to parents through kind of unique and new channels of, again, getting them intrigued through a news story, something they're typically not going to be doing as a kid. And again, they're hooked and they're paying attention and they're listening to those same messages that we're teaching in the classroom. So a very cool thing indeed, but it's also important to coordinate within the campus. So we're having some weird issues with our computer here too. So Abby, if you've got the presentation invite to take over, let us know. You can unmute now, and otherwise we'll send it from the other computer.
Hi, Brooks. Hi, everybody. I haven't received that yet.
Okay.
To share my screen, so I'm still waiting on that. But other than that, I'm all ready.
It should be coming right now. It's this.
Here it goes. Okay.
There we go. All right, and I'll let you take over from here, Abby, as soon as you get your slides pulled up.
All right. So thanks again, and thanks for sticking with us. Before I launch into my section, I just want to thank Jennifer so much. She's such a great example of a health and wellness champion, a CATCH champion, a sun safety champion, and there are many, many excellent teachers out there doing great work. But in my experience, we tend to get a little siloed in our classrooms in education. And what Jennifer did by stepping out of her comfort zone and allowing her kids to show off what they know, as she mentioned, that just started ripple effects. As she said, you know, from her local community, she had a lot more interest and buy-in and excitement and knowledge. Some of those things that Dr. Kelder was talking about in terms of really changing behavior generated through this process. And even beyond Jennifer's community, there in the Austin area, the story through Fox was picked up in some different regional markets. So one of those was in Detroit, you know, halfway across the country, ran Jennifer's story. And that has led to not just one actually, but now two users of Sunbeatables in the Detroit area. So you never know what's going to happen when you kind of step out of your comfort zone and decide to share the great things that are going on in your classroom, in your school, around health and wellness. And as Jennifer was mentioning as well, this is good PR, right? Schools like good PR, principals like good PR, districts like good PR, because sometimes the messages that around schools and districts and education are not necessarily positive. So anytime there can be this type of positive story, there is interest from local media to cover that. And generally schools and principals and districts will be excited and positive to facilitate those stories and those messages. So Jennifer's like a perfect example of taking the great work that you're doing and making it public, which, as she said, can be a little stressful. But, you know, by stepping outside of that comfort zone, you know, more and more good things can follow. So moving on to our coordinated approach. So of course, CATCH stands for Coordinated Approach to Child Health. And I'm going back to Dr. Kelder's presentation, that is really what CATCH is all about. It's really creating an environmental change across a school. It's not just about a one-off curriculum. It's really about these messages that can resonate throughout a school and then hopefully beyond the walls of the school into the community and really change the lives of students and families. So how do we do that? As again, Dr. Kelder was mentioning, kind of like preaching to the choir, but as we know, if the choir is going to preach, they have to know the words first. So it's really getting everybody on the same page and singing together in harmony the same messages. So again, a great example of that is our slow, go, and whoa messages. And again, a set of shared values that everyone is bought into the idea of being a healthy school environment. Making this program, making these values visible and ubiquitous across the school community. So when I worked in a school setting and in a large district, I had the opportunity to go visit lots of different schools and lots of different neighborhoods and lots of different places. And immediately when I walked into a school, I always knew what was valued in that school. How did I know that? I'm not psychic. I knew that because of the things that I saw. If I saw, you know, star reader of the week on the wall, or perfect attendance, or lots of sports trophies, I could get an idea of what, you know, was valued and what was the norm at that school. When I walked into a school and I saw messages like slow, go, and whoa, or pictures of students and families being active at a family fitness night, or, you know, positive wellness messages around, then I understood that, oh, this is a school that is committed to health and wellness. That's what we call an MVP school, catch school. So really, you know, making that obvious is one way to communicate or coordinate across the school, because it's those messages that we all share, that we're all talking about. And it's knowing the words to the song so the choir can preach. And then, of course, taking that to the next level is really sharing and communicating that success beyond the classroom walls and even beyond the walls of the school. So Jennifer's example is a perfect example of that. You know, and Dr. Kelder shared some other strategies, both, you know, sort of the traditional strategies of newsletters and bulletin boards and different types of communication channels, and the newer type of technologies through social media. I did want to highlight some resources that Catch has to kind of create this coordinated approach, to create this environmental change. We have something really unique, which are our coordination toolkits. So the regular Catch program, the K-5 program, and the middle school program both have coordination kits, and they're really designed for a wellness champion. Typically it's a PE teacher, but it doesn't have to be. It's just somebody who is really going to convene all of the wellness programming in the school and sort of be a point of leadership there. And that person is really charged with implementing this toolkit, which is basically a blueprint or a playbook for putting on different health promotions throughout the year. We do offer training as well to support those, you know, a Catch Wellness champion and a wellness team in implementing that sort of coordination. I also wanted to point out a resource that is free for everyone through our digital Catch platform, which is our early childhood coordination kit. So it's basically the same idea, what I just described, but really geared more towards an early childhood setting. So either preschool or licensed care, or you know, anywhere that you find 2 to 5-year-old children. And what's exciting about the coordination kit is that it really fits in sort of an early childhood setting, because in early childhood, typically you'd see thematic units throughout the year. So the coordination kit really builds on that idea and provides bi-monthly, and by bi-monthly I mean every other month, themes where, you know, there's suggestions for activities, physical activities, arts and crafts, bulletin boards, parent messaging, kind of all of this sort of comprehensive promotion going on around a specific theme for that month or that week. So it's really handy and easy to use. And again, it's available free of charge on our digital Catch website. So please go ahead and check that out. And you can see a good example of how to coordinate all of these different messages through this toolkit. So the next aspect of my discussion is talking about the idea of amplifying our messages, as we've been discussing through digital platforms. So digitizing our curriculum materials and resources is really the best way to make our coordinated school health programs more nimble and accessible to everyone within a school, a child care program, or an out-of-school time community. So the advantage of a digital platform as opposed to a traditional printed curriculum is that it won't get lost or collect dust at the back of a closet. It makes it infinitely easier to share with a larger part of your community, be it teachers, parents, administrators, or even other stakeholders in the community. It's a great way to have everyone be able to access the information and the background, and it just makes it easier to find different parts of the curriculum. So to illustrate that, I'm just going to quickly jump on our newest digital platform, which is, as you can see, sunbeatables.org. We just launched this earlier this month, so it's just about 2 weeks old, actually. And I'm going to just kind of tour you around a little bit in order to show you this. Let's see if I can do this. Why is this not working? Oops. Okay, so yes, here's the home screen. So the first thing you would do is create a profile and log on. So I've already created mine. It's really simple. You just get on and you fill out a few simple questions and create your username and password. And after you've done that, you basically have access for free to all aspects of this evidence-based curriculum that you can access at any time, anywhere. So the next part you would do is just scroll down, and as you can see, we have 2 versions of our curriculum. There's a pre-K and a K1. So you would just click on the appropriate grade level for your site. And then we recommend that you start with training. So the first bullet here is training. And again, this makes it really easy because it's just a quick video. It's 50 minutes that you can click on at any time, anywhere. And you can obviously also share this with colleagues, with parents, etc. We have some supplemental videos as well that work with the training webinar that really show the program in action with real teachers and real families and real communities. So that's kind of nice because it's not just, looking over sort of the aspects of the curriculum and how to implement, but it really shows like Jennifer's kids, actual kids participating in the program and give some context with educators. So those are really great. And so as you can see, you really have everything that you need to provide a professional development or other type of share fair experience for your colleagues at a school. If you're interested in promoting this program or having everyone get on board with doing a coordinated program. So, you could share some of these different resources about why sun safety is important, show a video. There's a downloadable Q&A section as well that would be great to share with your community. So going back to the pre-K curriculum here, I just want to show you the lessons. So in the pre-K curriculum, there are 5 units, and each unit has 4 lessons, so for a total of 20 lessons. The K1 curriculum has 10 lessons, although the content is very similar, and 2 supplemental puppet shows. So let's check out a lesson. So I'm going to click here on activity 1.2, Are You Sun Safe? And that's a song. So as you can see, again, another advantage of the digital platform is that all of the resources are there and highlighted and hyperlinked for you. So there's no more hunting around in the box or trying to figure out, where is this that goes with this lesson. Everything is really curated nicely for you. So it makes it a lot easier to access and a lot easier to share with your colleagues. So I'm going to show you the lyric song, the lyric sheet. It's a poster for this song. So all you'd have to do is download it. Hopefully that'll pop up here. And you can go ahead and print that out. You could share that, send it home with parents. You could post it in the music room. You could send the link to your music teacher for the audio file. So there's all kinds of different ways that you are free to share the materials. So that is really a great advantage of this digital platform. Another great feature of the digital platform is it gives you the resource of creating a note to yourself so that you can kind of keep track of where you are in implementation. Seeing this at next month assembly. So, you know, if you were trying to remember what you were up to, you can do that. And here's a really great feature, which is if you are so inclined, you can even add a comment for Sunbeatles users around the country and around the world, actually, who are on the site and share your experience. So, for example, you could share, my kids love to sing this as we apply sunscreen. So it's a little tip that you can share, and then again, amplifying that, sharing tips helps other teachers around the country and the world be more successful in their implementation. So those are some really cool features of the digital site. And of course, you know, coordination is made easy when you can send all of your colleagues links to specific lessons, messages, or materials with just one click. So I'm envisioning, you know, Jennifer writing an email to her colleagues or putting it in a newsletter saying, you know, remember to complete activity 4.3, draw a sun safety superhero by Friday so we can display our student work in time for back to school night. So that is a much easier way than having to print off everybody's copy and, you know, kind of twist arms to do it. If it's easy of just going on a website and getting the lesson, hopefully people will be more willing to coordinate the message. So the last feature, I know we're almost out of time, that I want to share is some parent communication tools. Because as we know, educating the parents is almost as important as educating the students if you want those healthy behaviors to really sink in, as Dr. Kelder was sharing with us. So parent materials are wonderful. Again, those videos you can share, and there's lots of suggestions on how to do that. There are note cards and handouts and an introduction letter in Spanish and English for every lesson, as well as, of course, these sun safety song lyrics, so the kids can sing the songs that they've learned with you and bring them home. So as you can see, there's lots of great parent communication tools. I'm going to hop back on the PowerPoint here because I know we're running out of time. And hopefully there's a couple of questions. Brooks, do you want to field any questions for us?
Thank you so much. And just to all of our folks attending, I'm sorry we're running a little bit long. We do have a few questions in here, and we encourage you just to type those in, and also we'll have some contact information on the next screen here too for those who want to follow up as well. But the first ones, we've actually got definitely some people who want to know a little bit more about the Sunbeatables program. And I do want to point out that anyone can go on and create a digital Sunbeatables account. It does not cost any money. You just have to sign up and create a profile, and everything is accessible, which is kind of what Abby was talking about, being able to send around links. It's neat that everyone on campus can just be able to access it so easily. And to a similar extent, there's some of the digital catch resources that work the same way. And if schools are signed up as a catch school, they can get access to the full digital catch platform as well. So the first one is from Blake here, who says, I'm a physical education teacher. Do you think the Sunbeatable program works best in a general classroom setting, or would it work well in physical education setting as well? And
Hi, Blake. Great question. Yeah, that is a great question. So I'm assuming if you're a PE teacher, and this is an assumption, I might be wrong, that you're teaching in the K-1 sort of elementary sphere. So within the K-1 curriculum, there are lesson adaptations to adapt them to a PE setting. So you definitely can implement the program in a PE setting. However, I think it works best, again, in that coordination spirit, to have different pieces, kind of being taught in different places. So again, if the art teacher can kind of do some of the arts and crafts stuff that are harder to do, in a PE setting, and the music teacher doing the songs, and everybody sort of pitching in and coordinating, I think that is the best case scenario. But the basic sort of program, you can definitely adapt to a PE setting. Even if you are, the trailblazer at your school, and especially since we go outside a lot of the times during PE, that's a really great opportunity to just practice sun safety and have the kids, sort of practice what you're learning there too. So thanks for that great question.
Great, and I'll just toss a question to Jennifer, and that is, did you, you mentioned your principal, kind of sharing that you guys did the story and being able to share links. Did you have any other teachers or parents or other folks outside of your classroom who were kind of sharing back things that they learned about sun safety from your participation in this?
Outside of my classroom, there were some people in the community who had seen the show, and they were surprised to learn some of the things that we discussed on the show. A lot of the parents of my students had no clue, like, exactly what their child was saying at first when they were saying about being sun safe. One of my students was at a soccer game and was saying, "We're not being sun safe." And the mom's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "We don't have our wide brim hats on. We don't have our sunscreen. We're not in the shade. We don't have our sunglasses on." And so he listed all of the superpowers that he had learned. And the next time that they went to the soccer tournament, they brought umbrellas, they brought their wide brimmed hats, they brought their sunglasses, they put on their sunscreen. So I think that's where I've seen the biggest feedback is the parents of my students have been like, I had no idea that, not, just wearing a baseball cap wasn't being sun safe enough. It was just protecting my head, but not my ears, not the back of my neck. And so I've gotten a lot of feedback from the parents as far as that. And, outside of the classroom, not so much, but we have a lot of pre-K teachers in our district doing this program. So hopefully the word will start to kind of spread as our students start sharing it with their families or maybe their neighbors and stuff like that. But lots of feedback from the parents.
That's awesome. It's still just great to see how that percolates through the community and again spreads to other communities and can actually lead to real change and action, like the request for other sites to want to do the program too. Well, I want to be respectful of people's times. I know we ran a couple minutes over, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll end it here, but definitely want to encourage anyone who's interested in continuing the conversation to reach out to us. And Abby, if you can go forward to the next slide, I think we have contact information and exactly where the webinar archive is going to be. There you go. And again, if you want to follow us on social, we'll be sending out a link to the archive of this webinar as well as a PDF of the presentation slides. And again, thank you so much for being a champion for school health, for sun safety, for all that we do. And thanks again to our fabulous panelists. And we wish you a very wonderful and happy summer and happy 4th of July coming up. Thanks so much, everyone.